Selecting a type of paint is no easy process. In fact, it can be quite daunting, from matte finishes to sheen, water-based to water-based enamel. There is a lot to consider before starting that paint project. And we're about to get some leading light now as we chat to Head of Decorative Marketing at Plascon, Suvasin Moodley, to help ease this process just a little bit. Suvasin, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hi, Graham. Thanks for having me.
This can be quite a daunting process. I'm hoping you're going to make it a little bit easier. There are different types of interior and exterior paints. Take us through some of these paints and the difference between them.
So interior paints, it's brands that have lasted more than 50 years. Brands that you know of, like Double Velvet, Velvet Glow,
Sure.
Cashmere. The whole thing about the interior paints is it needs to be stain resistant, easy to clean. We've made it with ingredients that are safe for breathing, like Double Velvet Pure, with air purifying technology. The lab has done a lot of work in developing these things with formulations, whereas exterior paint needs to be very different. So it needs to be able to stand the tough weather, which needs to be tough, durable. It needs to be easy to apply and withstand the weather elements, like rain and things like that. Micatex, I think most people know who grew up with it. Mica for strength, marble for stretch, which is, I think you remember that, huh? It's an old ad. And it's been there for over 50 years and it's to withstand the tough South African environment. Also, there's New Roof Cool. A lot of research and development has went into that to be able to cool homes.
Yeah, obviously, in a South African climate, from hot to cold to dry, we've got to be able to take those knocks outdoors. Let's turn indoors now, where it becomes quite nuanced, from bathroom enamel paint to the kitchen to the bedroom. How can we use these different types of paints inside the home?
A kitchen and a bathroom usually has a lot of steam. There's splashes that happen behind the stove and things like that. So this product is specifically called kitchen and bathroom to make it easier for you to go and shop. Whereas when you look at rooms, similar to the one I'm in, it's about having a nice design. So you get matte finishes, you get sheen finishes. So like Double Velvet Pure, for instance, in a living room like this where you spend most of your time, it needs to be stain resistant, odorless, washable, especially when you have little kids. We also have a product called Plascon Cashmere, which is ideal for bedrooms. It's a nicer finish. It's in the name. Then, there's also little trims and things like that, like the one you see behind me. They're also prone to continuous movement, chipping, that kind of thing. This one is specifically painted with Velvet Glow enamel. So it's a white enamel. You can see the sheen coming off.
I absolutely love that. And I've got a 4-year-old at home who might be destined to become a professional painter with the amount of time he spends on our walls. So I get you, and I certainly relate to that. I'm going to ask you to maybe put on a different hat now and think from the perspective of an interior designer. How would you recommend from your side that you use different types of paint finishes, maybe the matte or the sheen, to complement a space or an aesthetic, feeding off what you've just said?
Matte is great for hiding imperfections and bumps, whereas the gloss is great for bedrooms, especially as feature walls where you want a specific wall to pop.
I'm going to ask you now to put your technical hat on again and explain to me the difference between water-based and water-based enamel paints. What's the difference there?
Water-based paints will be for a general wall area. The first thing is it's great for the environment. It doesn't have solvents in it. It's better for the environment. You can wash it off. Then water-based enamels, I think there's a great misconception that enamels have to be solvent-based. We've put a lot of R&D into developing our enamels to be water-based. It's thicker. It can be used. It's great for indoors and outdoors.
Do we look at the same kind of principles and methods when we're looking at the exterior of the home?
No. So the exterior paints is developed specifically for taking a beating. Our two flagships are Micatex and Wall and All. Micatex has been in the market for such a long time. It's tried and tested. We recently just relaunched it end of last year to include polycell polyfiller. And the one thing to look out for when using exterior paint is what's the coverage? The opacity needs to be very high in something like that. So, you cover it and it allows the stretchability of the walls, because naturally in the South African sun, it does get quite hot and your walls do expand and contract. So it's important to have a product that can last the test of time.
It needs that elasticity. I get that. Now, finally, I've got to ask, about color. There are so many colors and color palettes out there. What's the best way to go about selecting a color for yourself?
It's purely preference. It's what you look for. It's about looking at what do your furnitures look like. I mean, some designers just take a pillow. They look at the design and then design the room around that. We have a Persian rug in our house and we use that for the walls in the back. So we use the colors to match like that. But also it's about using dark and light colors to make a room bigger or smaller. So a darker color can make a room feel a lot smaller. It's quite easy to, I brought a palette here and you can see there's multiple of colors to choose from. So it's quite easy just to select a color, take it home. You buy a little tester pot in whatever finish you want. This is cashmere, which is a matte finish. You take it home, you put it on the wall, you see what works and use it.
I love that. It couldn't be easier, and you are spoiled for choice in terms of how you use that color and that finish at the end. My friend, thank you so much for joining us. You have demystified quite a daunting process, and I think hopefully people now will embrace it, especially as we move into a new season. Maybe take the opportunity to refresh either the inside or the outside of their home, but we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Graham.
Well, we hope that this has helped you just a little bit. I know it certainly has helped me, inspired me. With Plascon, it is easy to create that dream look that you have always wanted. Together, we've got this.